All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Virtual History 360. I'm Mr. Wade, and we are studying for your test that is tomorrow. Or if you're just checking out the live stream, we are talking about exploration, exploring and claiming new colonies. All right, so here's the one thing we got to talk about. We're going to have a chat, keep it civil, keep it good, and ask your questions. I'll ask questions, answer the questions, ask questions, answer, and the chat will be good, okay? Just keep it good, understood? Now, the next thing is there's a delay. It's about a 30-second delay from the time I say something to when you hear me say it, and then you have to respond in the chat. So there's going to be a delay. That's okay. We'll deal with the overlap. We'll make it work, okay? But we are going to be covering our current unit, exploration, exploring, and claiming colonies. So, are you guys ready? I hope so, because it is now 7:30 and we are ready to start. Here we go. Alrighty. So I guess we should just kind of hit the nail on the head and say thank you, first of all, for being here and taking time out of your night to spend with me to talk about our unit. We are covering the basically old world to new world transition, right? So what does that mean? Well, simply put, it means that we are, the European countries are looking to expand. Okay, so let's start with the idea of mercantilism. Mercantilism means countries get their power, or the power of a country is based on their wealth. Okay, well, the more wealth you have, the more say you have. All right. Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, and I do have to say this. I apologize for not saying this when we were kind of going over the intro stuff. If you're going to put in the chat, if I can't tell who you are, put your name like on your first message, or when you ask a question, just so I can know. Because some of you I can see your names, some of you have your gaming tags, so I'm not gonna be able to say who it is. Okay, so yeah, like Isaiah's right there, perfect. Okay, so that's awesome. All right, so this is awesome. This is good. You guys are here. I appreciate you guys spending your time with me. I'm happy to give up this time because I want you guys to be successful. Okay, so what do you say? It's a couple minutes in. We're going to spend some time together. We're going to have a good night. I'm going to share some stories with you. All right? Like I said, we were talking about mercantilism, power. That's what the countries are doing. I know I was getting ahead of myself. Awesome. Beautiful. Awesome, Andreas. Let's see. We got Isaiah. I see Bella. I see Terrence. Some names. I see Jayla. Alana. Braden. Awesome. I see Noah hanging. Beautiful. All right. So, yeah, I'm thinking we can share some stories. I'll try and share some cool stuff with you, okay? Angelina, I got you there. All right, so, hey, Quincy, I got you. Gabrielle, I got you. This is awesome. So good. We're up to, 19 right now? Not bad for our first couple minutes. Let's see if we can't bump that up to like 50 or so. Maybe 100. Who knows? I see Luhan there. There we go. Ethan. Benito, I see you there. Augusto, I see you. All righty. All right, we're going to have a great night. This is going to be so awesome. I'm so excited. I apologize for the darkness in the room. I forgot that I blew out the light in my ceiling fan the other day, and I haven't fixed it yet. Been a little busy. So I got a little table lamp over here, but I think it's bright enough that you can at least make me out, and hopefully you can hear me, and everything's going to be good. So let's start talking. Let's talk about, the kind of everything wrapping together. Jesus, how you doing, bud? All righty. Yeah, this is fun. Oh, man. First live stream of the year. And we're doing good. We're up to 21. Here we go. Why didn't the Dutch expand more is the first question. Thank you, Isaiah. All right. So, why didn't the Dutch expand more? Because they were a small country. Remember we talked about mercantilism at the very beginning there. Because they didn't have as much power, they didn't have as much say. Now, with that being said, they put up a fight, but the British just overtook them. Okay? And in the end, they signed an agreement that they were going to trade that Spice Island for the island of Manhattan. Britain took it over, and that was the end of it. The Dutch didn't really see a way to win that fight between them. A few hundred people did die. It wasn't just a paper treaty signed and passed, but it was, a losing effort if they would have kept fighting. So that's why the Dutch didn't expand more. Okay, they got a good deal on the island. The idea is they traded, I think, 60 guilders worth of stuff, beads or whatnot. And they were able to get Manhattan for basically nothing, like 900 bucks in today's money. But really, it was a trading port. But they weren't a big country. They didn't have the resources of other countries such as Great Britain, right? So they put up a little bit of fight. They got a deal out of it. They got the Spice Island. They made some money on that. But as far as expanding in North America, that was about it. Now, they did claim Greenland, and, that kind of got changed back and forth. Denmark has it now, I believe. So they did have a little, but they didn't make out. They didn't win the lottery of North America. So that was a great question. Thank you, Isaiah. All right, we're up to 22 viewers. Hopefully we get a little bit bigger. Let's get this up to 50 and 123. Awesome. All right. So we started with great questions. If you got questions, ask them now. I'll go over some stuff, but if you have questions, I'll pause what I'm talking about, and then we'll focus on you. If there's something you're confused about, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys out. Okay? Hello, Terrence. I see you there, buddy. You have any questions for me? All right. So while we're waiting on questions to come in, let's keep talking. The 4 countries. There's more countries, obviously, in Europe than we focus on, but the main 4 in our standard, SS 8.A.2.1. Okay, that's the standard that we're going to be focusing on for most of the test. There's 2.5 for a little bit, but we'll get to that. Okay. So what we're focusing on the 4 countries of England, Great Britain, France, Spain, and the Netherlands. Okay? Alright, so I just said the 4 countries, but let me check the chat. Is this test for the whole things, or we've been learning through the year so far, or just this lesson? It's basically everything since, September 4th, I believe. It's this unit, exploration. Not historical inquiry, not the career lessons, none of that, just the historical, or just the exploration stuff. Okay? Look at page 8 and 9 in your notebook for your scale. Page 8 for your scale. Everything on that scale is fair game for this test. Okay? So let's see. Next question. Did France have trouble getting to the interior? Yes and no. I mean, it wasn't easy. They didn't have highways. They couldn't hop on the interstate, right? But they did have the Mississippi River. Okay, so if you look at French-controlled interior, it was centered around the Mississippi and Missouri rivers. The rivers was what made them travel, and then they fanned out from there. So whether it be tributaries or on foot, was it easy traveling? No. No, not like today. But it wasn't, that's what I'm looking for. It wasn't the worst because, again, rivers made the travel a little bit easier. Okay? Why did the world map change over the year? And I think that kind of goes in with the question above. Will we have to remember what colonies in European countries and where they settled? Yes, Angelina. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, that is a huge part. That's level 1. That's the base. You gotta have a good base to move forward, right? All right, I'll get to the Jamestown question in just a little bit, okay? Hang on to that question. I'll come back to that, but let's talk about the countries. You need to know where they settled. If you look at the thumbnail for this video, for the live stream that we're doing, that kind of gives it away. You have Spain, basically in the bottom part, okay? Spain had the bottom part. They had the southwest U.S., they had Mexico, they had Florida, from down, okay, into Central America. That's North America. That's what we're focused on, okay? That's Spain. France had what Spain didn't take up the Mississippi River into the middle of what is the United States. Interior. Remember that word interior? It's like the interior of your house, not the edges, but the middle of your house, okay? England started with Jamestown that we learned, but they spread along the Atlantic seaboard, by the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. Remember you labeled that on your map? England's by the Atlantic Ocean. That leaves just the Netherlands, which had New York City, just a little tiny dot, New York City, and then Russia we throw in there because it did affect North America, but we don't spend too much time on it. Just know that Russia went to Alaska. And if you know where Alaska is, northwest. Okay? All right, the chat's moving a little quick at this time, so let me double check, see if I'm missing anything. I think I covered the countries. Why did the world map change? Heard that from a couple different people there. Because territories change. As we move through the year and study North America, different wars lead to different treaties, so different countries take different territories. The 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War, that changes territories. That's how Britain got control of Florida, and then they gave it back to Spain after the Revolution. But we'll get to all that. Okay? Let's see. With Jamestown, how long did they stay there? They're still there today. It wasn't after 1699. Remember, we saw that today. After 1699, it wasn't the capital of Virginia anymore. But Jamestown's still there. You can go see it today. Let's see. Jamestown notes mixed with Roanoke. Yeah, Jamestown, Roanoke, because, again, the saying goes, history is written by the winners. It's not really. History is what it is. History books, however, are written by the winners. And since England basically won North America, or at least the United States that we're in, we focus on English history. That's why the unit transitioned from all the countries into the English colonies of Roanoke and Jamestown. Next unit, we'll get into their regions and all that. Okay? Let's see. Question, why did the map change over here? I think I kind of hit on that. Is this live stream long? Yeah, we're going for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. As long as you guys are asking questions, I'll stay here. Unless it gets too crazy, because I do have to go to bed. Okay? Amazing, yes, there is a test. Let's see. I thought Spain went to Mexico and Florida, not the interior. That's correct. Not the interior. France went to the interior. Spain was the south. Okay? Mexico, Florida, Central America. Okay? Jamestown led by the voice of Jamestown. John what? No, not John White. See, you got me saying wrong. John Smith. John Smith was the leader of the Jamestown expedition. Okay? Remember in the video we talked about how they didn't send farmers, they didn't send colonists, rather they sent explorers who were there to look for gold and silver. And then when they didn't find gold and silver, they didn't know what to do. And they didn't want to work in the colony, they wanted to just keep looking for riches. So John Smith made the rule saying if you don't work on the farms, you don't get any food. And that's kind of what helped them survive for a little bit. Alright, so yes, John Smith did lead the voyage, but remember, John Smith wasn't saved by Pocahontas, that was Juan Ortiz on the Hernando de Soto expedition. No worries, Angelina, that's what we're here for. Let's see, why didn't Roanoke grow their own crops? Because they were on an island, they didn't have much big land, and again, it was a small expedition, it was their first try. No one's really good at the first of anything, right? Not everyone's a natural. So that's why Roanoke, they probably couldn't make it, and then that harsh winter, when they went sent out for resupplies, they didn't have a good base, so they were just kind of doomed from the beginning. Let's see. Are the quadrant and the astrolabe quadrant astrolabe have the same definition? Well, it's focus on that. Just think about navigation. Okay, they didn't have GPS, so just as long as you understand that they were used for navigation, you're going to be good with that. Okay, so focus on the navigation end of it. Okay. You're using the sight of stars or the sextant for watching, using the sun for tracking during the day, so you can find your latitude. Finding your latitude allows you to find your longitude, and that's how they figured out where they were going. They were actually pretty good with it. What was it called? Jamestown. It's named after King James I. King James I gave the charter. Jamestown for King James. Okay, make sure I didn't miss anything. You guys are stuck on those worms. All right. Roanoke was led by John White. Okay, and he brought his family, brought his daughter who gave birth to Virginia Dare. Remember that? Okay, but he left to go get resupplied and didn't get back for 3 years, and they were already gone. Let's see. Roanoke and Jamestown, not so much, I'll be honest. Roanoke and Jamestown's not very heavy on this, okay? So don't stress about that. Stress out about levels 1 and 2. Okay? It's a big hint I can give you. Jayla, did John Smith and Pocahontas ever have any type of relationship? No. She was like 9. And he was 30 something, I think. So no, they didn't have a relationship. That would just be weird and creepy. No. Again, it was the biographer in 1624 that heard the story of Juan Ortiz, and he just kind of threw it into John Smith's biography. The history of Virginia. No, there was no relationship there. Let's see. Okay, thank you. Was Maryland named after Queen Mary? I don't know that offhand. I'm going to have to look that up. Luckily, we don't cover Maryland until next unit, so you'll have to ask me that when we get to our next unit next week, or in 2 weeks when we have to get Freedom Week, okay? Well, why do people trade anything? It's because it's stuff that you don't have, right? Just like we learned the first currency was shells. You know, inland, doesn't nowhere near the ocean, would trade for shells from the ocean because they didn't have them. Anything that's new or rare, that's what you would trade for, stuff you don't have. That's a great question. It was John White, not John Smith. Why did John White just give up searching? I don't know. He didn't find enough evidence and just went home. I don't know. And then that's the difference. John White was Roanoke, John Smith was Jamestown. Angelina, I'm going to answer that question in class. I'm not going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to wait until tomorrow to answer that question. Okay? Because I know everyone's going to ask that tomorrow, so I'm just going to hold off on that. What happened to Roanoke? We don't know. There's a lot of rumors going around. Some archaeologists and excavations have been going on, and they think they might have found some evidence, but nothing is official yet, so we're not going to share that. Nobody knows what happened. That's right. No one knows for sure. All right, this is going great. We're up to 29 viewers. That is wonderful. Good job, guys. So, keep those questions coming. This is wonderful. We're, what, 15 minutes in? We're doing a great review, I think. So, just remember, let's see. Which one is older, Jamestown, Roanoke? Remember, Roanoke was technically 2 expeditions, 1585, 1587. 1587 is the one we're focused on. Jamestown, 1607, so about 20 years later. Okay? Let's see, what else we got to talk about? We talked about the locations, right? Talked about the expeditions. Remember the story of Alvar Nunez Cabeza de Vaca? You know, the Pamphilo de Narvaez, you know, losing to Cortez, but coming back in 1528, and then Cabeza de Vaca walking around the Gulf Coast. Remember that? Yeah, that's part of the Spanish expeditions to Florida. That's a great story, I like that. Let's see, I think they moved back. That's possible. They moved down to Croton Island. Alright, there is a message held for you, but it's a good question. Did the French have slaves with them? We'll show the quote here. If you're thinking as in like the Atlantic slave trade and what we're going to be getting into later, no. Did they have slaves with them? Yes. But not in large numbers. Okay? What were the biggest topics we're going to be talking about on the test? The big level 1 and level 2 are going to be the biggest chunk of this test, okay? Level 1 and level 2. So you need to know where they came from, who came, where did they go, and then why. What were their motivations? What were they looking for? Okay? Make sure you know the vocabulary. If you go over your vocabulary words on the scale, what we put in your notebook, that's going to help you as well. Okay? Let's see. Why are we studying Hernan Cortez as an explorer when he was a conquistador? Explorer, conquistador, they did the same thing. Explore and take over land. Claiming colonies. That's the unit we're in, right? That's why. Didn't the Mississippi River have natives? So were there any trouble there? On a small scale, yes. But remember, who was exploring the Mississippi? It was the French. They weren't really taking land. They were more in building relationships. Because that's a great question. What were the French trading? Who can answer that question in the chat? What were the French trading? It was trading more than one thing. But what was their big market? What were they really trying to make their money with? I kind of already talked about John White. He gave up. You know, granted, it was his daughter, granddaughter, but found no evidence to track down, I guess. I don't know. And the Spanish conquistadors arrived in England. They never went to England. That's the Armada you're probably thinking of. Boston Tea Party, that's much later, so yeah, you're getting ahead of us. The Britain beat the Spanish during the Armada attack. It had a lot to do with, 1, the British Navy was pretty good as well, and 2, the terrain, the rocky shorelines. They were able to flank the Spanish Armada to keep them from, having their real strength in numbers. Who were Puritans? Puritans were England settlers or colonists who came over seeking religious freedom. Jamestown was technically an island, but it's like a river island that's easy to get to, not like an island in the middle of the ocean. The Dutch were coming to trade. Again, the idea of mercantilism, the idea that the more money you make, the more power your country would have. So they were trying to trade and make money by finding resources. That's what the Dutch were trying to do. Okay. And yes, you guys are putting fur in the chat. Yes, that is what the French were trading for. Because remember, we learned that beaver pelts make felt, and felt makes hats, and felt hats were all the rage in Europe. So they hunted all the beavers almost to extinction in Europe. So they came to America and found better beaver pelts to make better felt, to make better hats. And the French made a killing, made a ton of money by selling the beaver pelts that they got from North America back in Europe. Good job, guys. All right, got 28 viewers, 29 viewers, hanging in there. Hopefully we get up to 50, but 29 is good. You guys are doing great. Alright, no worries getting confused. That's why we're asking questions, okay? No worries. Let's see what else we got to talk about. Let's see, we hit on the French first. Someone asked about the Puritans. Okay, remember the vocabulary word persecution, treating someone on their beliefs. Puritans were being persecuted, so they left seeking religious freedom. Okay, they left England seeking religious freedom. Okay. Now, again, let's go back to that vocab, make sure we're covering that. Let's see. Let's review. I'm going to ask you, what was the Northwest Passage? I'm going to review the chat, make sure I'm not falling behind on that. But I'm going to ask you guys, who can tell me what the Northwest Passage was? Guys, don't get held up on the geography of Jamestown. That's not a big issue to worry about, okay? So, someone please tell me, what was the Northwest Passage? Well, remember, vocab words help you understand the content, right? That's why we give them to you. So if you understand the vocab, it helps you understand the content, which helps you answer the questions. Okay? So, someone, I know there's a delay, about 30 seconds or so. So let's see if we can't get to what was the Northwest Passage. A sea route where? Come on, Luhan, you gotta give me more than that. While I'm waiting on that answer, Braden asks, which was the strongest? French, Spain, England, or Netherlands? Depends on what year you're talking about. Spain was the strongest. That's why Jamestown was founded 60 miles away from the ocean, because they were worried about Spanish attacks, right? From the Spanish Armada. What was left of it, at least. Okay. The French were strong. Spain kicked them out of Florida near Jacksonville, Fort Caroline, so they struggled in the interior, but they made a lot of money, so that helped. You know, Britain eventually becomes the strongest and takes the continent. So it depends on what year you're really talking about. Okay? Let's see. Northwest Passage was a passage that would connect North America to Asia. It was the sea route, like Luhan said, to connect the east to the west. So instead of having to sail all the way around South America, you could just sail across. Now, unfortunately, they never found it. Today, because of melting ice in the summer, you can go north of Canada and get there, but they didn't know that at the time. They couldn't find that. They kept looking, but they didn't get it. So yes, a sea route between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Great answer. Good job. Strait is a narrow passage. That's like the Strait of Gibraltar. Okay, that's a little bit different. Okay. But that Northwest Passage, again, everyone's trying to get to Asia. You know, think even Columbus, going all the way back to 1492, said he was trying to get to Asia by sailing west. Find that water out to Asia, get there faster rather than having to go over to the east around Africa. Make the money through the trade. Mercantilism, right? Did the Indians who were trading with the British in Jamestown ever attack? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember the starving time we talked about? The really harsh winter after John Smith had to go back because he got exploded in a black powder explosion on the river or on the lake? Yeah, they basically put him under siege and didn't let him leave. And that's why it was called the starving time, because they had no access to food. So yes. E, I see you're from last year, but E doesn't really give me a name, so I need more than that. I'm not from Westside, but this is very interesting, not gonna lie. Hey, Lena not found. I appreciate that. Hopefully you're taking something away from this. I appreciate, that's why it's open to everyone. That's beautiful, thank you. Braden, you're going to have to watch the replay because I already talked about that. It depends on what year, okay? Who is the strongest? Depends on what year you're talking about. Can you please go over the passages and routes? Okay, let's see. I'm not sure how to answer that question. Go over the passages and routes. If you're referring to when we talked about maybe the Vikings going north and everyone else going south, they would sail south from Europe down to the Canary Islands, then across near the equator, and then up from the tropics to what is now the United States, like Virginia or Massachusetts. That was the route. I think that's what you were talking about. Okay, Northwest Passage, they were looking for the water route that they never found. Okay, but everyone wanted that sea route to get to Asia so they could trade with China specifically so that they could then maybe, hopefully, okay, hopefully make some money, but they didn't quite get there. And that's why they settled for North America. Kevin from Radio. I remember you, Kevin. Hope you're having a good year this year. Let's see. Sorry, new for West Side is my second week, I think, but I'm in 7th grade. Oscar, I'm assuming you are still going to take the test tomorrow, so hopefully this review is helping you. Hopefully you're doing good. So, are there any vocabulary words that are going to be more common on the test than others? I think I've dropped some pretty big hints of that. Persecution, Northwest Passage, right? Armada. Okay. But again, the vocab is used to understand the concepts to help you answer the questions. Not that we're not just going to quiz you on the vocab. It's not a vocab quiz, okay? Why did Spain want to convert the natives to Catholicism? It's a portable religion, okay? Your job, in their eyes, was to spread the faith. That's Crusades, all history kind of related to that. So they wanted to convert the natives who were non-Catholic, non-Christian, to their religion. That's why. Let's see. Did the British and Spanish ever accidentally meet each other during an Ooh, I like that question. I could tell you stories about the... Sorry if you hear my dog barking in the background there. I can tell you stories about the Spanish and the French, fighting over Fort Caroline and Fort Matanzas. But British and Spanish, in an awkward situation, no, I think British did a pretty good job of hiding away. I would say the closest to that would be 1585 when Sir Francis Drake burned St. Augustine to the ground. I would say that wasn't really by accident, but I think that kind of answers your question. Okay? Does that make sense? Man, Sir Francis Drake, he was a bad guy. He was a pirate. But he was sanctioned by England, so they call him a privateer. Let's see, Armada, that is the Spanish fleet of warships. Okay? Alright. So let's see, what else we gotta talk about? You guys are doing good in this review. I'm really happy. Oh, we were talking about Florida and St. Augustine, but let's work our way backwards. St. Augustine was founded in 1565 by Pedro Menendez de Aviles. Okay? Should talk about his ship, the San Pelaya. That was pretty cool, but I don't want to get off topic too much. That's a great story. Remind me to tell you that when we get to colonization. Yeah, it's a good video, or a good story. But yeah, John Ribault, the French at Fort Caroline, were kicked out. So Pedro Menendez de Aviles founded St. Augustine in September of 1565. That's why I said the first Thanksgiving was in Florida, not in Plymouth. And then lost my train of thought there. But before that, Florida was founded by Juan Ponce de Leon, former governor of Puerto Rico. Juan Ponce de Leon is credited with claiming or naming Florida La Florida, right? Because it was around Easter, the beautiful flowers, right? Now, let's see. Going to have a great night. Going to study. Good luck with that. Armada, we already covered that. How are marathons going? Remind me at the end of the stream, and I'll talk all about marathons, and we can talk random stuff. But I want to make sure I get this review in for everyone. Okay? Let's see. What else we got? Where was I? So yeah, Juan Ponce de Leon. He is the founder of Florida, naming Florida, right? But he got killed in Florida by the Clusa Indians on the Gulf Coast in 1521, I believe. So yeah, he didn't make it much into Florida history. It was Pedro Menendez de Aviles that founded St. Augustine, which is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the United States, because it was founded in 1565, 50 years before Jamestown. Alright, so let's see, we covered French and the fur trade, we covered the Puritans and religious persecution leaving England, we talked about Ponce de Leon, we talked about the Northwest Passage, let's see, we talked about Armada, right? Let's see. We talked about mercantilism. I've harped on that I don't know how many times so far. Mercantilism, trying to get those resources, trying to compete with other countries to get more than what they're getting so that your country can gain more power, right? Trading to make money, getting those resources so you can make stuff back at home. That's why people, why these countries were willing to come across the ocean, because they wanted to get these resources. They wanted to compete, get more resources than the other countries. Yeah, that's a big deal. Make sure you understand that. Competing for resources is such a big deal because, again, the more you have, the more power your country would have. So that's why they did it, okay? Now, remember the Spanish, started in the Caribbean. Columbus landed in the Bahamas, went to Hispaniola, and they worked their way up, really. But then they started going through Florida, working their way around the Southwest, okay? And let's see what else we got to talk about. Oh, we talked about the French and fur trading, but let me ask you this. I want you to answer this in the chat for me. Which country had a better relationship with the natives? Spain or France? Which country had a better relationship with the natives? Spain or France? All right, while I'm waiting for that answer, let me check the chat. Did the British and colonies ever fight each other? Not the Revolutionary War. Yes and no, not really big fights, more like squabbles, I'll say. Juan Ponce found the fountain. Oh, Braden, no, that fountain is a made-up story. It was written after he died by an enemy of his family to try to make him sound bad. Like, this fool was looking for the fountain of youth. He wasn't looking for the fountain of youth. Okay, so don't worry about that. Let's see. Was Spain ever successful finding gold? Oh, yeah. In Central America, Aztec gold? Yeah. They found a lot of gold, more silver, but yeah, they found gold and silver. French settled in the middle USA. Yes. Spain went to Mexico and Florida. England went to the Atlantic coast. Dutch went to New York. You got it. That's it. Who was the first country to go to North or South America? That would be Spain. Columbus sailing for Spain, right? Any review on the Anaconda Plan? That's the Civil War. That comes much later. Let's see. I got some answers here. I see both, but more for France. Yes, France, because, there you go, Alana. They didn't want to claim land. They just want to trade. And if you want to trade with someone, you got to be nice to them. If you're not nice to them, they won't trade with you, right? So that is 100% right. Yes, France had a better. Yes, Spain murdered the natives because sometimes they didn't convert. Yes. Braden, it's not your fault you got told a fake story. There's a whole archaeological park in St. Augustine about the Fountain of Youth. So it was believed for a very, very long time. So it wasn't a fake story. It was just kind of off-center. Okay? Don't feel too bad. A lot of people did believe that for a while. Okay. Let's see. You guys are doing great. We're about a half hour in. Man, you guys are doing so good. So happy. Okay? Make sure you know maps. Florida, was a big jumping off point. But yeah, what questions you guys got? I think I've covered pretty much everything. Maybe we can wrap this up in about 10 minutes. Not do a full hour, but do a good 45 minutes. See, and the Vikings were the first people to find South America. No, not South America, North America. First Europeans, first of all, not first people. First people would be the natives that came from Asia across the land bridge during the Ice Age. The first Europeans, the Vikings, came across the North Atlantic. They went to Iceland and Greenland and Newfoundland, which is in present-day Canada, and they worked their way across exploring. But they were the first, but they left. And because they left, that way nowhere else. So the Vikings were in North America, not South America. Okay? But really, our standard is focusing on England, France, Spain, and the Netherlands. Speaking of Netherlands, what's another name for the Netherlands? What do we call the people from the Netherlands? Let's put that in the chat. See if you can answer that for me. It's a good segue to that question. Let's see. Wait, it already been a half hour. Oh yeah, time flies when you're having fun. I'm having fun. You guys are doing great. This has been a great review. I'm very happy with this. A lot of big turnout. A decent number. We hit up 30 at one point. We're at 24 at the moment. We hit 30. So, hey, that's 30 kids that are going to do great on the test tomorrow. All right, the answers are starting to come in. I see two. See if we get some more. Yes, it is the Dutch. Another term for the Netherlands. Interchangeable Dutch. What's another term for England? All right, you guys are answering Dutch. Oh, you guys are so good. Oh, good job. But now I'm asking another question. What's another term for England? Think about the map that we shared. Think about the map that we shared. What's another term for England? Large-scale battles? Nah, not large-scale battles. Oh, sorry. I think I missed your question. Let me go back. Were the French and Spanish fighting in North America? Yes. Fort Caroline, and Fort Matanzas, that was, pretty bad. Matanzas Massacre, right? So yes, there was some fighting, but not battles per se. But yeah, the Spanish took them out. That's why the French stayed to the interior. Let's see, why was religion so important to them, and why did it push on people they wanted to do nothing with their religion? Now, that's a great question that I really can't answer because I wasn't alive back then. But just know that Europe, up until the Reformation, that's another vocab word, was ruled by the Catholic Church. The Pope had a lot of power over these countries, so the countries followed with the Catholic dogma. That's where that comes from, okay? Let's see. I'm seeing British and Britain. Yes, Britain. Good job, Isaiah. English, Saxons, Anglo, British. But British, what we're going for because Britain, that was on the map. So good job. Let's see. So remember, the Dutch are the Netherlands. English are the British. Okay, we use those interchangeably on the map, so I want to make sure you're understanding that. The Spaniards or the Spanish, worked their way from the south. Florida was a big jumping off point. The French were friendlier with the natives because they were trading with them. Man, you guys are awesome. Let's see, Reformation led to the Church of England, which led to the attack of the Armada, which led to the defeat of the Armada, which led to England going to North America and starting, to colonize. That's what they gave them confidence for Jamestown. It's a big butterfly effect. Man, you guys are good. What other questions do you guys have? What else is confusing? As long as you know like where they went and why they went there, I think you'll be good. You have a question? What was the old name for England? Again, depends on what year. A lot of times it falls down to what year you're talking about. Okay. For our purposes, we're just going to focus on England though, so I don't want to get you confused. Let's focus just on England or Britain. Those two will work on that, okay? Of course you're going to ace this test tomorrow. You guys are awesome. You're putting in the time to study. You're putting in the time to review. Why wouldn't you ace this tomorrow? You guys are amazing. Yeah, did any French turn the natives into slaves at one point? I'll be honest, I haven't really studied that much. I can't say for certain yes or no. I would not be surprised if the answer was yes. I'm sure there are some on individual basis, but not as a general policy, I think is a fair answer to give. So good job for that. Were there any tribes on Roanoke? Not that I know of. I know Croatoan is the tribe you hear of, and they were a few miles, I think 50 miles away. So were there tribes nearby? Yes. And I can't imagine the English settlers would move into a village. They would try to find land that was somewhat empty. So I would say probably not there on Roanoke Island, but maybe real close. Let's see, was Scotland part of England at this time? Well, remember England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, they're separate countries. It gets a little confusing, so when you get to world history, I'll work on this. Was Scotland part of Great Britain at this time? Yes. Yes, it was. The United Kingdom? Yes. Yes, it was. Okay? Let's see, with your help, I'm going to ace it. Of course you're going to ace it. Let's see, what's your favorite out of... Okay, Braden, I'm going to ask you to clarify that. When you say, what is my favorite out of all of them? Are you asking me to pick a favorite country? Because that's a tough one. So clarify that question for me. I want to make sure I'm answering what you're actually looking for. What do you think happened to the colonists in Roanoke? What do I think happened to the colonists at Roanoke? Let me think. I think that they were starving, and I think they tried to merge with the natives trying to get help. Whether or not the natives, just killed them because they were enemies or they accepted them, I don't know. I like to think that the ones that were still alive after, running out of supplies were so weak that they weren't seen as a threat, so they were adopted by any native tribe that they came across, and they just, intermarried and, just, melded in with them. So I think that's what I think happened. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know, but we'll see. Let's see. Scotland, going ace. Braden's question. What do you think happened? Who do you think Croatoan written on the tree? See, I've also heard that story in a couple different ways, whether it was Croatoan or just Croa, and it had to be interpreted. So could it have been the Croatoans that came and slaughtered them and left a calling card? Could it have been the Roanoke colonists? telling, John White where they were going? I don't know. I like to think it was the colonists that said we're trying to find the Croatoan Islands so we can get help. That's what I think. Let's see. Why didn't the Scots and Irish ever settle in North America? Oh, well, they did, just eventually. We'll get to that a little bit later. Talk about migrations and big help later. See, England, France, Spain, or Netherlands. Who's my favorite? I can't pick a favorite country, Braden. Oh my goodness, I thought you were going to talk about people and favorite stories, but favorite country? I don't know. I think I can answer best by saying we live in Florida, and I think Florida is deeply impacted by Spanish history, and unfortunately our standards don't really allow me to go into incredible detail, but I try and squeeze in as much Spanish Florida history as possible because we live here. So I would argue my favorite would be Spain because we live here in Florida. I think that's a very politically, middle of the road answer, right? Without, playing favorites too much, right? Let's see. The colonists probably tried to gain more land. If you're talking about Roanoke, I don't know because they were, sick and starving. Colonists might have went, but died on the way. Years passed. A lot can happen in 3 years. Okay. So let's see what else. Was there any evidence of slaughter or at least something? 3 years. Honestly, have you ever seen like a dead lizard outside your back door? I run over lizards in my driveway all the time. My wife Mrs. Wade makes fun of me, says I'm a lizard killer because I find lizards under my tires. I don't get it, but they disappear. Okay. Let's use a modern example. Amelia Earhart. She crashed. Probably was eaten by coconut crabs. Nature takes back. Okay. I saw a post the other day that they estimate that there were 2 billion Tyrannosaurus rexes, 2 billion T-rexes in the millions of years that they were around, and yet we found what, 6 skeletons? So I know that's millions of years, but nature takes things back. So finding evidence is hard. Okay. Let's see. Netherlands, I guess so, landlocked at the time and nice culture. Yeah, Netherlands is good. Underwater or under sea level, but that's pretty cool. Let's see. What do you think is the most interesting? My favorite story, I think, has to be Cabeza de Vaca. Yeah, Alvar Nunez Cabeza de Vaca surviving his trip around the Gulf Coast. That has to be my favorite story. Oh my goodness, there's so many though. We need more time. Because we could talk about the Wally Uprising and Little John, and how the Spaniards in St. Augustine would write letters back to Spain saying that they're keeping these natives in line, but at the same time, if you look at their records, that they're paying tribute to the native chiefs so they won't attack St. Augustine. So that's a great story. Or the fact that the very first St. Patrick's Day parade wasn't in Boston or New York, but it was in St. Augustine. I mean, come on, because the parish priest of St. Augustine, Richard Arthur, and I was an Irish priest living in Spanish St. Augustine. So St. Patrick's Day was celebrated here in St. Augustine, here in Florida, before it was up north in those English colonies. So, I mean, that's just cool. I like stories like that. So you can get me on my soapbox. We could go for another hour and a half if you want me to start telling stories. I know a lot. Let's see, which country had the biggest population? That's actually a great question, Luhan. At the time, I would say, I believe it was England. London was in the 1600s, London got pretty big. I mean, but Paris was too. Spain had a few decent cities at the time. So I would argue, I'd say England was probably the largest population, but the other two were close. Netherlands, not so much. Let's see. Did Belgium, Luxembourg exist at the time? Were they a part of the Netherlands and make Benelux? No, I don't know. I don't think they existed at the time. We're slaves back. See, don't get it confused with the Atlantic slave trade. Okay? Slavery was a fluid concept at the time, at the beginning. It transitioned into something much worse, and that's what we're not quite there yet in the unit, so we'll talk about that one later. Let's see, you should do lives more often. It's been really fun so far, and we get to learn and have some fun from it. I appreciate that. I'm having fun. I enjoy just talking history. I'm a history guy. That's what I do. Let's see, because of spinning Spanish, maybe? Influence on Mexico, is that why most speak Spanish today? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of native languages. You know, if you want to talk about the Mayan, you know, on the Yucatan Peninsula, like there's still a little bit there. But yeah, it was Spain took control of Mexico, and Mexico had to fight for their independence from Spain. But that's why there's such a huge Spanish influence there. That's what I thought you meant. Yeah. So good, good. So what are you thinking, guys? You guys ready for this test? You guys ready? I think you're ready. I think you're confident. I've covered everything. And listen, if you go back and you just kind of like jump around, watch the replay of this, and hit a review tomorrow morning. I know it's 45 minutes, but you know, skip around, pick up little things, watch this before the class if you got your computer, or you can get on a computer, right? Yeah, Isaiah, like 100%. Like this has been my best live stream, like review ever. Like you guys have asked so many questions. I'm so happy with this. Like this has gone very well. We will definitely do this more often, or at least for every test, so we can start to share stories like that. But yeah, if we finish early tomorrow, ask me some more questions and we'll go over it. So here's the deal. It is now 8:15. We are officially 45 minutes into the content, 49 minutes of the stream itself. If you guys, I know there's a delay from when I say this, so I'm going to ask you, any last minute questions, anything else you guys want to share or talk about? I'll give you guys about the 30 seconds, like I said, and then we'll talk. But then I say we can wrap this up, so what do you think? Oh, I'll share this while I'm waiting for you guys to ask your questions. The reason I love Spanish Florida history so much is because I'm part of a grant now, but I was in a grant before, and I got to meet Professor Michael J. Francis. Dr. Francis is a professor at the University of South Florida, St. Pete. And he was one of the leaders on a history trip to St. Augustine years ago, back in, oh goodness, 2011, I think it was when I first met him. 2010? Maybe 2009, I don't know. Like he shares stories, and I found some videos of him I can point you to if you want. But look up J. Michael Francis, Dr. Francis, and he teaches a class in USF St. Pete, and it's 2 semesters. Okay, you have to sign up for both semesters. The first semester, he teaches you how to read Spanish shorthand and Spanish writing from the 15th, 16th, and 17th centuries, so you can learn to decipher documents. And then the second semester, he takes you to Barcelona to go to the archives of the Indies and look for Spanish documents. And that's how he learns so much, and he shares so much, and he's done different events. And I've seen him a few times. He has the book. If you look on the bookshelf behind my desk, I have a book about St. Augustine. He wrote that book. He is the foremost expert. Dr. Michael Gannon has passed away, so he is the foremost expert on Spanish Florida history. So, yeah, I give him all the credit for my knowledge of Spanish Florida history. Let's see, make a few live streams this week. Oh, I don't have time to do a few live streams this week, but maybe we'll make it more regular. Alana has to go to sleep. I have to get up early tomorrow, so have a good night. Have a great night, Alana. You're going to do awesome tomorrow. 15, 20 minutes, that's not really long enough for a live stream. That's why I do my little 5-10 minute videos. Let's see, were any British, French immigrants in Spanish territory? Oh, yeah. Like I said, the parish priest in St. Augustine was Irish. So, yeah, they intermixed. Individuals intermixed, yeah. Trying on questions, hands are all mine. All right, so you're good for tomorrow. And I have to go eat dinner. I have to go eat dinner, too. I'm starving. So, all right, we're going to wrap this up here. Please have a good night, everyone. I so appreciate you spending your evening with me. You guys are going to rock this test tomorrow. And if you're not taking a test tomorrow and you're just watching for fun, I hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to end this stream here. Have a good night. Good night, everyone. Goodbye. I will see you tomorrow. Happy Tuesday, everyone.